this one. I feel like we tried to do it. Oh, yeah, you ready?
Hey guys, welcome back. It's an exciting episode of Yomo. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today we're on Reflection 327, and it's the part three of three, the last installment of the book, Martha Beck, book by Martha Beck. What was it? The Way of Integrity.
Yep, exactly. So excited to wrap this one up again. Just a quick recap of, because we've been talking about this for the past couple of days now. This book was inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy, and the author uses his classic like hero's journey to weave in and out our own quest for integrity in life and finding your path to your true self. So it's a really good book. Really enjoyed it. Kind of came out of nowhere, to be honest with you. I think I told you in the first episode, integrity was one of my new core values that I found, right? You remember when I was
You were searching for the way of integrity, and you found this book.
Yeah. I did. Seriously, I think I Googled books on integrity, and this is how I found the way of integrity. Ironically.
How do you do integrity? Well, here's the way.
Exactly. No, it's a really, really good book. Highly recommended. Yeah, check it out. So our final reflection, though, is when nature meets culture. So I'll explain what I mean by that, obviously, as I talk through this. But one of the things that you and I have talked about ad nauseum on this journey is how important culture is to humanity, right? I mean, it's I don't know that we need to recap the importance of culture to humanity. It's one of our superpowers, I think, right? Our ability to unite around.
I think this is the thing that I think people don't really understand, but culture is what makes us who we are today.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, 100%. I mean, as a collective, as a human race, like as a collective,
because you will not be human. There will not be a human race without culture, because culture, what makes us not as strongest to be the apex, not as nimble to be the apex, not as fastest to be the apex. You're talking about like there's so many other species out there that is stronger in every category. Right. But because of our collectiveness, we're able to build this humanity.
Everything. Right? Yeah, I mean, right? all the stuff we do. I mean, like everything. Like, I mean, it's the combined superpower of the human race, not just like individual superpowers may be like the ability to run and endure and carry shit and our emotional
cognitive. I mean, you're talking about like the gazelle, the woolly mammoth, the saber-toothed tiger, the lions. You're talking about like we can't hunt a woolly mammoth. We just can't do it. But collectively, we drove them to extinction.
Yep.
Right? Collectively, we can't run faster than a gazelle.
Right.
We can't run faster than a woolly mammoth, but we're able to collectively run faster than them. Individually, we cannot, but collectively, we could run faster and longer. I mean, one of the books you mentioned, like way in the past, is one of the way that we, capture a prey is to exhaust them, just chase them till they get exhausted and they just collapse and die, right? And how do you do that? You just, you do those race where you pass on the baton.
Marathon, yeah.
You pass on the baton.
Like a relay race, yeah.
Relay, right.
Yep.
Yeah. So you just send people chasing after them. Then when you tie, you send another guy in. It's like collectively we're able to chase things that run faster and longer than us, and this is why culture is what makes us who we are today as a human species.
Yeah, we can work together. I mean, like we can. Yeah, I mean, we can work together. Like that's.
I mean, you think about like, hey, you look at like the dogs, for example. I mean, like they say, hey, let's say you train a dog how to pee, right? He goes out to pee every single day, or whatever. You bring a new dog in. Why can't the other dog tell this dog, hey, don't pee in the carpet?
That's a good point, actually. That's a great question. I don't know.
But you think human beings say, hey, hey, dude, don't shit in that carpet.
Yeah. I mean, we not only that, we potty train people, and then we have other people help potty train people. Like we have potties. Like, you know, can you
I mean,
imagine that? Like, you
I
know,
mean, that's what
we
I'm
invented.
saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, as a human species, we have that collective connectivity.
Right.
Because you think about, hey, you know, if I come into, I'm a new puppy or whatever, and I shit on the carpet or whatever, and then you get smacked or whatever, and then other dogs say, hey, I've been here for 16 plus years. I'm telling you,
I mean,
when you
yeah.
go and go
Don't do
out,
that. Yeah.
go knock on the door, you know,
Right. Right.
scratch on the
Right.
door, or say something, right? But no, I have never seen two dogs talk to each other. I mean, they sniff each other, right?
Right.
And people say, hey, they communicate, blah blah blah. But why don't they communicate the thing they already learned? Hey, you want a
They
treat?
don't problem
Sit.
solve together. They don't problem solve together. Is what they don't do. Like it's do you remember that The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt, when the reflection from that one, the 90% chimp and 10%
Mm-hmm.
bee. He said a quote in that one, that I will never forget this quote. He was like, he was interviewing this person. They were talking about the whole 90% chimp, 10% bee philosophy, and or you know, idea that he was saying,
Mm-hmm.
and he interviewed this expert on chimps, and monkeys in the wild in general, and he goes, they're way more brilliant than humans are, like very much so. I mean, like, 1 to 1, you put a chimpanzee's intelligence up to a human being's intelligence, and they usually find more creative solutions to problems. The He was like, the one thing you'll never see a chimpanzee ever do is to help another chimpanzee to solve a problem. Like, if they need help carrying a stick somewhere, they're gonna be like, "Fuck you, carry your own stick. I don't care. I don't like, you know, like it. We help each other, and we help
But
each
by
other by
humans by default, we have this urge to help people. You
yeah,
think
we
about
do.
it. Like,
Yeah,
if I go in there,
collective help. Yeah,
let's say I go in there, and I say, you know, that that run where you pass on the baton, blah blah. Then what did you say?
a relay. Yeah, relay race. Yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah,
you have this urge to help me. So
yeah.
whenever I start there, or I'm trying to figure out how to say something, you help me. If I go in there and I shit myself on the carpet, right? They're gonna say, "Hey, dude, don't do that. Go
Yeah,
do
right.
over here, right?
Right.
Hey, there's
Yeah.
a bathroom over there, dude. Don't you know?"
Right.
See, that's the thing is by default, human beings have the urge to help, and basically everything that basically when you
To
elevate
coordinate.
something,
To
right?
coordinate. Yeah.
Not only coordinate, but everything that you learn, right? You want to pass it on, and so
Right.
that you basically you bank on the level of power. When you have something collectively, it adds on. It doesn't. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a lot of times, like when I know something, you will know it, right? So you don't have to
Right.
spend a lot of time doing research, do trial and error to find that. I will automatically tell you, and then because of that, you have time to stand on that platform and move on and on and on. It's like basically like, you know, in a game where you bank something, like, hey, you save when you bank, you put something in and you save it without having to lose it. So
Right.
that's humans in a nutshell. It's every single time we learn something, we bank it for humanity's sake,
That's
and then
funny.
we just learn on top of it. So
Yeah.
there's a saying, "They're standing
Super
on
cool.
the shoulders of giants." That's what we mean. Is
Yeah.
only us can do that.
Yeah. You're right.
Like chimpanzee, they don't do that because they don't actually. Hey, this guy knows where the bananas are, right?
Right.
They're not gonna tell, hey, there's banana here. Or if a guy say, hey, if a chimp is hungry, they say, and then the other chimp knows where the loads of banana. He's not gonna tell, hey, this chimp, you're hungry. Here's some banana. They go over there. There's over there.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Yeah. If you
I
help me
mean,
next time too, I'll help you to, you know, we can get more bananas together or whatever, you know, and you're like, that's not gonna happen.
no,
Like, yeah,
no.
yeah, I mean, we definitely, you know, have this is our theory of clubbing, right? You know, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we're building a club, and we don't need to talk about all this stuff right now because, like, this is the point of the reflection, right? Is we'll get to it, but the you know, starting it off, clearly, humanity and culture are intertwined, and it's as a species, it is probably our biggest superpower as a species, right? Individually maybe not so much, but as a species for sure, maybe, is our collective superpower. I think imagination is our individual superpower personally, but anyway, so with that as table stakes, you know how important culture is. Here's the thing about culture though, is like it's it's a double-edged sword. You don't just belong to one culture either, you belong to hundreds of cultures, right? You know, so like myself personally, I actively you know, cultures are determined by a lot of things, right? Where you're born, what your religion, your family wants you to be in, languages you speak, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't even matter what music you're shown in the early on in your life. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can't control where culture comes from, right? And most of the time we just adopt cultures, right? Like I'm a part of, I just rattled off in my own mind, some cultures that I'm a part of, right? The Sears family, so like my dad's side, the Iria family, my mom's side of the family, tennis community, the pickleball community, English speaking people, the high tech, community, Catholic Church, United States of America, Delta Chi fraternity, Purdue University, St. Mark's Elementary School, Roncalli High School, City of Indianapolis, State of Indiana, the Midwest as a whole, social media, different platforms that I'm on, previous and current employers, Angie's List, Extra-Axle, HC1, Salesforce, OSF Digital, Riley's Hospital for Children with, Luca and Amelia, bereaved parents. The list goes on and on and on, right? I could probably, if I really sat down and thought about it, I probably belong to, I don't know. How many cultures do you think you belong to?
Hundreds.
Yeah, thousands maybe. I don't even.
We are sophisticated enough to have a lot of circles. I mean, cultures are more, to me, to simplify what we mean, it's basically your circles. Your people you hang out with, or the people that you have, I guess, common linkage, right?
Some shared values, right? Some shared values.
Well, it's a definition of a culture. It's shared values.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely what it is. So there's things, the reason I share all this is there are things that I love about each one of these cultures, right? If I went and thought about my Sears family or the Iria family or the Midwest or the state of Indiana, the city of Indianapolis, there's certain aspects of every one of those communities, whether I chose it or didn't choose it, like that I actually enjoy. And I could rattle them off, the Indianapolis Colts, the Indiana Pacers, like fans of those communities. There's things I could rattle off about all of them that I enjoy. But the truth is they're not, none of those places are like my home, right? Like, I don't think that I've ever felt like connected, solely connected to a culture ever once in my life. Have you that I either chose or that I was given from birth? And that's one of the problems with culture, right? It's so important, but also it's something that you have to be. You don't realize how much it shapes your life until I don't know. Sometimes never. Like politics, whatever. You just sometimes don't even realize how important these things are, and it really helps to shape your identity for a lot of people, right? It gives you an identity a lot of times, and a lot of times that's not your identity. So here's that's the double-edged sword of culture. Is like it'll give you an identity, a purpose, missions, values, but it may not be you. And this is when culture gets a little dicey, right? I think of, we've talked about this so many different times with the business community, especially the high tech community, Salesforce and their Ohana, family, right? Like it seems like an amazing culture from the Angie's List was probably one of the best places I've ever worked in my entire life. I absolutely loved almost every minute of my time there, for the most part, at least for the first 4 years out of the 6 or 7-ish years that I worked there. It was the best. It was fucking amazing. I mean, some of my best friends are still people that I met there. There's a lot of babies that were generated out of that, and marriages that were generated from that community, and and just tons of learning. And I look back so fondly on those times, but it wasn't my values. And here's why: because eventually that Ohana feeling, these amazing cultures you feel like you were connected to, walk people out the door and you're like, hey, sorry, bad quarter, time to go, and you're like, that's then you realize how big of a facade all that shit was in the first place, and it really wasn't what it was at its core at all. And you're like, that's not me. That's not who I want to be. I don't want to be somebody that makes that, that makes people feel great and then just takes it away from them and kicks them onto the street corner. Like that's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. I mean, maybe some other people are like that, but like that's not who I wanted to be, right? So the question then becomes, what do you do? The author, I think, you can't live a life without culture, right? Like, but you also don't get a chance to choose most of your cultures. So the author says, the quote of, if you don't walk a true path, you don't find your true people. So here's my solution to this, and here's our solution to it is, what do? You build your own. Like that's it. That's seriously the ultimate thing you could possibly do as a human, is like understand what you really, really care about, go build your own culture. And that is what we're trying to do every single day, you and I mean, it was what we've been doing for the past few years, and what we're going to continue to try to do. And this is our 7th generation committee meeting right now. And this is why I say, when nature meets culture, that's when you truly hit the peak, I feel like, of humanity, is when you can connect who you are and the people around you with the work you do and the people you're around, i.e. meaningful work, meaningful relationships, and you choose that, right? Like, and you figure it out. Oh, hey, these are my people. And then when you walk that path, other people go, yeah, I like that path. I want to be on that path. I'm going to choose that path. I'm not just going to get sucked into it or whatever. And our thing too is we have this extra caveat to all that to say, great, this is our culture that we're building. This is our values that we're starting out this whole entire thing with. But you bring your own values, and then you build your own little mini culture inside of this bigger culture. And we're not going to care at all. Like, you do whatever the fuck you want to do, because that's the whole point of all this thing. That is the culture, is be who you want to be and walk your own way of integrity, and then find your own people within the bigger people, right? It's like a hive within a hive, I mean, like, that's what we're trying to do here ultimately at the end of the day. But the bottom line is, this is the ultimate pinnacle of humanity, is when nature can meet culture. So I'd love to get your thoughts.
So I think, with me in particular, I mean, this is something that we've been talking about for the longest time. It's not new to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's new to
No.
the listeners, but I think, this is what I keep saying. You have to exude your authentic self for other people to see and connect.
Right.
Right. So this is essentially saying, hey, be you. You have to be you, and you have to create your own culture if you want it to be meaningful. You want to be able to relate. So you have to be you for you to create a culture. And because you becomes your own culture, you exude that vibe. And when you exude that vibe, right, other people go say, hey, that's a culture that I like to share. I like it. I like to connect with. So you connect with that person, and you create your own culture. And like you say, to me, a culture is your own shared values, but a cultures of cultures is also a culture.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So like you say, a small culture inside a bigger culture. So a culture to me is like a factor, like a small culture, a combinations of many more small culture creates a big culture. So a culture of cultures is a culture. And one of the things that you mentioned that, kind of like sticks out is that if you kind of like hide your authentic self by wrapping it up in something that you think people want, or you want to, pretend to do something, you in turn will create this fake culture. Just like when you say, hey, I love the Salesforce or HANA culture, and then suddenly, oh, sorry, we didn't make the quarters, we even though we make billions of dollars, we still gotta let you go, right? And then you say, well, that's not what I thought I wanted. Because the thing is, you have a culture, but you're not presenting your true self. Right. And that's going to happen if you go along and you pretend to say, hey, I'm this honest person. Right. And other people becomes, hey, I'm also honest. Somebody who's really honest. Hey, I like the way that you behave. I like your character. You know, I like to communicate and learn from each other, blah, blah. So you connect. And then suddenly you say, well, I like to be honest when it suits me. And then when it doesn't suit me, then I don't want to be honest. So in that case, the other person say, whoa, 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 whoa. I thought you were this
Right.
wholly totally different person. So this is when you create
Can't process it.
this yucky feeling from this person because you hide something, you hide behind a core value is not really you. So
Right.
the thing is, when you create this culture, you're gonna have a bunch of these like really really surprised people and disgusted people at you, you know, because in some at like I say, some places where it basically irks me when they mention, hey, we are family, right? But you don't act like one. You hey, we're family, but the moment that hey, you know, oh yeah, we didn't make the quarter, so let's have a meeting. You have until the end of the you have until like I say they
Now,
what
get out.
not what are they is they say hey can we meet at 9, right? Well, you have till 9:15 to clean out.
Right.
Right? This is what they're saying. Right, like 2 days ago, they say, "Hey, we are a fucking family."
Right.
Right? So you people get disgusted by this
It's
deceiving
hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy.
hypocrisy,
I mean,
right?
that we can't like we talked about this a few episodes back. Like, there's nothing worse than a hypocrite. Like, because like we crave stability and consistency, and that's why we like cultures. We like to understand what That's why values matter, right? Like we want to understand that there's consistent, stable values and community of people that care about what we care about. And then when you shake that to its core, you're like, it literally shakes you to your core. You know, it's a it opens your eyes to go like you could weaponize culture. I mean, like without a doubt, right? Like I mean, most of the and that's what these companies do is they weaponize culture for their own benefit until it doesn't benefit them anymore, and then they you know kick you out, right? Like you know they weaponize it on both sides, good and bad. They all the good stuff that they do it for a reason, a very specific reason. Like culture is never supposed to be an ends to a means to an end, right? Like that's never what culture is ever supposed to be. It is supposed to be just a shared collective values of a group of people that are trying to just live their life and trying to, you know, feel like they're connected to one another so they can, you know, I don't know, for whatever reason we care about that stuff as humans. I mean, I don't know why we do. It's worked out for us evolutionarily, so like we keep doing it. But like you can easily, you know,
I think
manipulate
culture is
people.
being manipulated,
It
right?
is. It's
In a
it's been
modern world
weaponized.
because the thing is, what I see is in the past, a bunch of people get together, right, and they do great things together, and they say, hey, you know, the culture arises out of this group, right? But now it's the flip side of it, meaning people start a company and they say, well, I want to structure my company to have this culture, and I'm going to attract people to
Right.
come in to kind of like, hey, you know, I'm going to sell you this dream of a culture,
Right.
right? And that's the reverse of it. It's like, hey, you use culture first to bring in the people. On the flip side, in the old days, it's like a bunch of people get together, right? And because what they do as a collective, that the culture arises from it. So
Right.
it's a reverse today. And so a lot of companies nowadays, they do the same thing is they go and say, I'm the Google of something, I'm the Facebook something, I'm gonna create a culture of, you know, hardworking, you know, technology, you know, state of the art, you know, massage or whatever it is, the Ohana of blah blah blah, the trailblazing, blah blah blah, right?
Right. Right.
That's what they do, and so culture isn't supposed to drive, right? Isn't supposed to drive
Well,
your
well, it kind of is, but like
well,
that's not that's not a for-profit business is never
but the
there
thing
is
is,
never anything
if
that
you
is not
do
that is
that,
the culture. If it's a for-profit business, that is the culture.
yeah, but the
Like
thing is,
it's the
what
life.
I'm saying is that it's just going to create disgusted people.
It is. I mean, it never
I mean,
fails.
people can get disgusted by the sheer mention of that brand, and eventually you going to collapse. So the point is, you're only going to sustain it in a short term. Long term, you cannot sustain it, because for me, it's like, okay, culture isn't the driver. Culture is an indicator.
Right.
Meaning, to me,
The
okay,
byproduct.
you bring people together. Okay, what do they create as a collective?
Right.
If they create something that you don't want, then you use it as a compass. You don't use it as a drive. You don't drive it. You drive it by bringing people together that does great things together.
Mhm.
So right now, a lot of companies, when they come out, the first thing they do is, I want to envision a culture, right? And then people buys into this deceptive culture, because deceptive means like there's no there's no substantial um inside a company. There's nothing substantial there's nothing to substantiate the dream of the culture. You don't actually act. You say, hey, I want to act as a Ohana, but you don't practice it.
Well,
To
but
me,
they
that's
do,
an
they do,
empty.
they do until they don't, is the point.
Yeah,
Like they
like
don't,
I
they
said,
really
you like I just told you. You say, I want to be this honest person, right? And you attract honest people, and you do that. But then when it doesn't suit you, you say, well, I'm not going to
I'm
be
not gonna do
honest, because
that.
right, I can do that, because so to me that's a deceptive culture.
It
Meaning
is.
that you don't have the intention to adhere
That's
to
not
the
true.
common values.
I think they do have the intention to do it. I think that I think even the people that start these companies, in particular, if we're talking about just about companies, you know,
But yeah,
they,
so what, I kind of
they
agree
think
with
that they're
you.
doing this
I
like
think
for
I
that
agree with
reason.
you, but back to what I said like many times again, you cannot be what you want to be. You have to be what you are. So
Right.
yes, they may want to have that integrity, the ohana, but they cannot practice it because that's not who they are.
No, they're a for-profit business that has to make money. I mean, like, and when push comes to shove, that's what you got to do. Like when culture, like with culture, when push comes to shove, you do what the people want to do. Like when the Catholic Church gets pushed, like the people say, this is what we're going to do, right? Like that is the point of a culture, is we say, okay, fine, we have a collective problem, we will solve it collectively. Like when a bullshit culture gets pushed, and it's not really based on anything that's foundational, like they go, well, we'll do whatever we have to
We're
do
gonna
right now to
strike this one
survive. Right,
out.
right,
We're gonna strike
right,
that
yeah,
one out.
exactly,
Because the
right,
thing
like
is, they don't have the seventh generation committee. Say, hey, do you carefully consider the culture you bring in, the core
right.
value you bring in, and then at the same time, if you bring that in, you're gonna have to be able to defend it and say, well, what is the core value that we're trying to uphold? If we're upholding it, then things cannot just arbitrarily just taken off, the list, just because, hey, we have, corporate culture of balance. Today
eh,
we don't feel like
eh.
balance. Cross
we,
it out,
we
right?
we really got to push hard, so you know what, we're gonna have to
Yeah,
go really really hard. We're gonna have to go, as Elon
yeah. We
Musk
don't run for
says,
train,
hardcore.
right? No,
Yeah,
today we're gonna
right.
run for
We
train.
gotta run, we gotta run for trains for the
We
next
gotta
two
do
months. We gotta
PBR,
run for
right?
trains. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's the thing is, people don't uphold the
right.
core values, and that creates this deceptive cultures I'm talking about. Because when it fits them, they just remove them. They just cross it out and put something new in.
Or they just don't totally ever align to you. Like, I mean, that could also be, there could be cultures like the Catholic Church, for example. Like there's a lot of things that I like about the Catholic Church, but there's a lot of shit that I don't like about it. There's a lot of shit. I mean, you're Catholic too, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of really good things, and then there's a lot of really bad things that I really don't like about about the Catholic Church. Now, I could choose to adopt the certain things that I like as my identity, but that's the thing with culture, is you can't just pick and choose out of it what you want. It's
Because
either
if you if
you
you
do it
if
or
you
you don't.
modified it, it
Right.
becomes a different
It's not the
culture. It's
culture.
not the
Exactly.
same. It's
Right.
not the same culture. It's like you have, like, how many denominations of Christianity do you have?
A lot. I mean, and I
That's the
doubt there's
reason.
any of
That's
them.
the reason why you have denomination, because you say, hey, you are the Catholic Church, right?
Right.
You are the Apostolic Church, right?
Right.
So that, and then you have to say, well, I don't believe in this little
This,
tiny thing.
right.
Then you
Yeah.
become the fucking
A
Lutheran.
Lutheran. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how the that's what a Protestant was. They were
Yes.
protesting certain areas of the business, I mean, of the business of the
Of the
religion,
culture.
of the culture, and they said we don't believe that. Out of we believe nine out of 10 things, but we don't believe 10 out
I
of
mean,
10.
they believe in like 1,000 things, and like 999 things out of 1,000 things.
Right. But
They
then you go
become
into
the
the
Protestant.
Lutherans, and people turn into Lutherans, and then they join that church, and they're like, oh, well, we believe in 7 out of 10 of those
Baptist.
things. So we're gonna go start this, and that's fine. That's exactly the point of all this. Is like, that is what when nature meets culture. It's like when you figure out this is not a full alignment of who you want to be in your life, and how you like. If you don't, it goes back to what we've always talked about. If you don't know who you are and what matters to you, none of this is irrelevant. You're just going to float all around and go, oh, okay, well, this is what the Catholic Church says is right. And I like 9 out of 10 things, 8 out of 10 things that they like. So I'll accept that these two things are really not what I like at all, but I'll just internalize that. And then you make that compromise on that one. And then you make the compromise on the company.
Because you keep compromising whether you're the line.
Right. That's the point. It's like there is no line because you don't even know what you're compromising on. You're just saying, I kind of like these people, but I really don't. Like there is such a massive difference between like hanging out with True every single night and then hanging out with, the people that we did in the anti-book club, right? You're like, fuck these fucking people. What the fuck? Like, I mean, every night, we would get together with them and you're like,
No.
you kind of align, but you really don't, I don't
mean,
like,
you say you all like to read books, but not the kind of books I read.
that's how I want this is what I want to talk about. Like this is not like, I mean, I thought I wanted to learn from you people, but what I don't really, and I'd rather go learn from people that they care about the same stuff that I care about, and they care about the same values that I care about. There's such a, but you could have easily spent the rest of your life at the anti-book club 5 times a week. We could have turned this into a big thing and been like, hundreds of people there, thousands of people there, maybe every single night. And you're like, all along deep down inside, you're like, I don't know that I love this. It's not bad.
It's exhausting though. I mean, to me, to spend like,
God, it stinks up here. Just the fucking sewers making me want to pass out. Anyway, all right, sorry.
We only did like once a month, right? On that thing, on the
it was every other week.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
Right. Even that, I was exhausted. I can't keep up with it. I it's like, I mean, did you think about it? If you had to belong to that culture where, yes, some of these people do share a core values with us, but it's not all the core values, right? And so even the differences in core value make a big difference. It's night and day different between whether you enjoy the group or you really hated the experience.
I don't know if hate's the right word, but like it's not.
Oh well, to me, eventually you're gonna get an ulcer come from like having to stomach the acid that just excrete from all these.
That was what was happening with that group, where I felt like I was like doing everything I could to hold it together, and every single. I mean, I used to dread when I would be like, God damn it, we're missing our Yomel time, and I would be like, we'll just do it. Well, maybe there's some redeeming people that are going to show up this week, and I would always try to convince myself it's okay. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. It's just once, like it's not a big deal, and it was like I remember you asking me one.
But your body is telling you, hey, this is not the right path.
It's not. I mean, right? I wasn't de-energized by it, but I wasn't energized. It was like a neutral energy. Whenever I would leave that room, or that activity, it's not that I didn't like the activity itself. Like, I mean, we're basically in the anti-book club right now, right? I mean, we're talking about a book, and sharing thoughts and having a discussion around it. Like this is essentially the same format of what we were just describing, but it's not the same format. And I think this is the point of it all, of this whole entire reflection is like, if you are not aligning your nature with the cultures that you are around and the people, the meaningful relationships and meaningful work, like this is the point of meaningful relationships, right? Is like, if they're not aligned with what you care about, it matters. Like, you know, and it really matters. Like, if they don't get energy from the same shit that you get energy from, and you guys both need to know where you get energy from in order to decide that, like, these are fundamental building blocks. Learn what gives you energy, figure out, go walk your path. And, you know, if you don't, like you said, if you don't walk, or like she said, if you don't walk your true path, you don't find your true people. So if you don't know what your true path is, like, you're never going to find your true people. And then vice versa, you know, the people that are walking, that find you on that path, the only reason they're going to find you on that path is because they're walking their true path, right? Like that's how culture becomes incredibly powerful, in my personal opinion. And that's how it becomes something that's pure, real, and good, and honestly, and organically growing versus.
I mean, the thing is, you can't put it any simpler than that, because you think about, if I like, let's say I like football, and somebody, you know, or if I pretend that I like football, and put somebody, hey, you know, I like football too. I like this, you know, maybe sit down and talk strategies and shoot the breeze with True just because he loves football, right? But deep down, as I don't know nothing about football, right? How much, right? The thing is, he's gonna eventually find out I'm this quack, right?
Right.
I'm the hypocrite. He's going to resent me for wasting his time. Yep. So think about it. If I like football, if I say I like football, so that when I attract people to come and talk to me, it becomes a mutual benefit and a mutual connection. That's meaningful relationship. But if I go around and pretend that I like football, right? I'm going to attract people who like football because they say, hey, this is a guy who can talk about, because I work, whatever. I want to play fantasy football. I want to watch football. I want to see the highlight. I want to see what he thinks about, you know, this quarterback, this new draft, or blah, 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 this rookie, blah, blah. Right? These are the fun things we're going to talk about. But imagine I pretend that I like it, but deep down, I don't really like football. I hated football, blah, blah, blah. If that's the case, how do you think it's going to end up?
I mean,
I'm going to waste my time trying to entertain this person that I really care about. That guy's going to say, well, I want to make a friend because, you know, I like to talk before. It gives me energy. I'm having fun. And then I found out this guy doesn't know jack shit about anything, and he can't agree on it, and he become inconsistent. When you don't know about what, like, let's say I don't know about football, I'm inconsistent. I say, well, let's say, you know, Green Bay play, it's in the AFC, for example, right? It's not, right? It's in the NFC, and then you're talking about like Super Bowl, and you say, hey, maybe Super Bowl will be, you know, the Dallas Cowboy versus the, you know, the Green Bay Packers or the New York Giants. So then you can't, right? In that scenario, you cannot, because they're in the same divisions, right? So you can't play Super Bowl in your own division.
And, that's the thing, is you don't want to learn.
So the thing is, people, he's gonna start figuring out I'm this little liar, right? And he's gonna start resenting me. Hey, what the fuck are you trying to do? You wasting my time, and I'm not getting anything from you. I'm not having fun now. I'm having this stress ulcer because, you know. And imagine in the end, right? I'm both exhausted. He's exhausted, right? What's the point of that? So you have to be on your true path. I have to agree with her and saying, hey, you have to walk your true path, because there's no need for you to exhaust energy for something you don't care about.
Yep. And I think the second corollary to all that, and this is probably what gets both of us our grinds our gears the most, is really the weaponization of culture, is saying what we're saying right now and going, okay, what if we got people's a bunch of people that maybe don't know the true path and gave them a true path. And then, but we knew that was just we were marching them over to off a cliff,
which is exploiting them,
right? Exactly. Like that. This is the thing that fucking drives me nuts more than anything in this world, is watching people find purpose, what they feel like is meaningful work and meaningful relationships, and then like
you just lead them to a slaughterhouse when you tell them, hey, beyond that you're gonna have beautiful flowers, all the candies you can eat, blah blah, but
virgins or something, like
I give you 100 virgin, just go do this, right? This is the manipulation that I see today, and to me, I'm disgusted.
It's disgusting. It's taking one of our biggest collective superpowers turning it on ourselves. Like,
Mhm.
and it's gross. It's beyond gross. If this is why we're trying to do what we're trying to do with Club Me. I am sick and fucking tired of people. I don't know how many people that I've come across in my career that if you ask them, do you like your job? They'd be like, you know, it's all right. It's a job, you know, like
Means
it's
no.
fine. It
If
means
it's not
no.
a hell
Like, I
yes, it's
mean,
a
yeah,
no.
right,
Because the thing is,
right, exactly.
I mean, do you like play tennis, Chris?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
of
say,
course.
it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
You
No.
think about it.
Without a
Do you
doubt.
like to eat cake? It's okay, right?
No, I mean, yeah,
I mean,
as long as it's gluten free. I mean, well, it depends on the cake. I mean, to be fair, I don't love to eat
but
all cakes.
I'm talking about like cake as your tennis, cake as
Yeah,
in
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, I know what you're saying.
your running, right?
Right, right.
I'm talking about like the things that you like, right? There is not a hesitation on your part when the people
No,
ask you, "Hey,
of
do you
course not.
like this?" Right? I mean, that's what I'm saying is
Right.
you don't. I mean, if people ask you, "Do you like your job?" and it's not. It's not.
Yeah, and I would say that I don't know. I'm just going to throw out a number. I'm going to say 95% of the people you talk to, if you ask them that question that worked in corporate America, if they like their job, I think that the answer the 95% of them would give would be,
That's
you know, yeah,
the rosy glass envisions that they persuade and paint for you. Say, hey,
mhm.
you go through this field of flowers or whatever, but they don't know that they're being led to the slaughterhouse, and that's what I'm saying is people being manipulated for
It's a
what?
thousand
For
day turkeys.
profit.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And,
literally, yeah.
and at the end of the day, you think about, if you even if you making profit, well, what's the point? I mean, look at Steve Jobs. He's a billionaire by the time he died at 58 or something like that, right?
Yep.
I
By the
mean,
way, oh, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
the thing is for him, I mean, 58 is a young person, and he spent the last, I don't know, maybe
It was like a decade almost.
at
Yeah,
least a decade suffering,
yeah.
right? And so to me, what's the point of having all that money if you
It's
can't, if you have to eat medicine as your food?
it gets even worse. So I'm right now the book listening to is Elon Musk's autobiography that Walter Isaacson wrote. Walter Isaacson also wrote Steve Jobs' while
Hmm.
Steve was still alive,
Hmm.
and just barely before, I think it actually finished it after he died. Um, the I was just thinking about this today because I'm about halfway through Elon's book, and
Hmm.
um, man, talk about like the corollaries between these two are kind of striking, and it's like this urgency. It's this they basically run for trains all day every day, and they don't stop, and they do it despite themselves. Like he's going to kill himself. Like, I mean, and same thing. I think Steve Jobs killed himself. And I think that Steve Jobs even said that actually in the book.
Hmm.
He was like, I actually started to get sick when I was like going through a lot of the stuff that we were going through the second time when I came back to Apple. Like the amount of energy they're expending to try to dent the universe is swimming uphill or running uphill hardcore. Like, I mean, and their bodies and their happiness, their soul is paying for it in droves. And like that is why at the core of Clubany, balance is the key. I don't give a shit if we put a dent in the universe. What I care about is if we do
But
what
you
we like to
can't. But
do.
the point is, you can't put a dent in the universe
You
because,
can't. Yeah, right. It's
like
like, you know,
3 generations from now, no one's gonna know who Steve Jobs is, or
I
100
mean,
years from now. I mean,
maybe,
but
yeah,
eventually, my point is, eventually, no one's gonna know who Steve Jobs is.
yeah. Eventually, people don't. I mean,
Okay,
who knows
beyond
who the
Jesus Christ,
Vanderbilts are? You know? Yeah.
beyond Jesus Christ, right? Who do you? I mean, even Jesus Christ, because there's a culture that carries on. But if there's no culture to carry on, it's like, who knows about Steve Jobs and who give a shit about Steve Jobs,
That's a good point.
right?
Like
So
the
what kind of
Medici's.
dent? What kind of dent in the universe are we talking about?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just a name. Napoleon is just a name. I don't know what he fucking did. I don't really care. Like, I mean, I mean, sure, I'll go study it if I want to, but Marco Polo, Genghis Khan. Like, I mean, yeah, cool. Like, they're just names, I mean, I'm sure they meant a lot, to a lot of people for a long
But
period
that's
of
the point
time.
is you don't know Genghis Khan.
I don't know. Yeah,
You
I don't.
don't know
Yeah.
Napoleon.
Right.
Because the thing is, it's just something that you happens to use as a name, right?
Yep.
You can call something, hey, it's what was it, like pasteurized, for example.
Louis
What
Pasteur.
pasteurized mean? What does pasteurized means?
It means taking bacteria out of
I mean, heating
milk.
up to keep bacteria.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all.
right.
That's all it means. I mean,
Right.
you're just using but you don't know who the fuck is Pasteur.
Louis Pasteur.
The pasta guy. You make pasta?
No, Pasteur.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, right? My point is, the point is, what is it suffering for? Because
That's the
like,
point. Yeah.
if you look at all of the people who have built great things, right? In the end, do they have the same outlook as they did before?
I don't think so.
I
I
know.
mean, you mean at the end of their life?
At the end of life, their outlook completely
I
changed.
agree. Yeah.
I don't. At the end of their life, like you say, well, I think I need to go to the office, and I think I need to make an Apple iPhone 10 or whatever. I mean,
Right.
he's not going to say that. He
Yeah.
says, well, a $30,000 car is going to give you to the same place as a $300,000 car.
Right.
It's just travel the same distances to get to the same destination.
Look,
That's his perspective at the end of his day.
It's a catch-22 because like my wife has a Tesla. I'm on an Apple iMac right now. I got an Apple iPhone 15 right next to me. Like, I have an Apple Watch right on the desk over here. I got my AirPods right here.
But the thing is,
you know what I mean? Like
the thing is,
like,
Chris, everything has its pros and cons because I told you can not be both short and tall at the same time.
no, I know.
Everything has its benefits and its negatives, right? Because that is the way balance works. Right. So when you say, well, I have the iPad or whatever, right? I have this iPhone, well, you become dumber. I'm sorry, but smartphone makes dumb user. Dumb phone makes smart users.
Right.
Because right now you and I can't travel without using GPS, and then whenever the cloud comes in and they give you random direction, like fuck, I missed the turn.
I told you that, right, when I was running.
I mean, so the thing is,
right?
You're enjoying your iPad, you're enjoying your iPhone, but same thing is if for some reason internet becomes this chaotic place and everything is wrong on the internet, right? You're gonna be wrong.
Oh,
same thing with AI today.
Yeah.
AI means the thing is the word AI. People say it's artificial intelligence, but AI eventually it's going to become average intelligence because that's what AI does. It takes all the collective knowledge and say, well, what is the most common things? Right. That's what I'm going to give you. Means AI means average intelligence because you cannot become the Leonardo da Vinci if you use AI. AI can never be the Leonardo da Vinci. It can never be Mozart. It can never be the people the smart people that basically today. It can never be because AI, by definition, it takes the collective intelligence and say what is the most common, just like a distribution curve. Right. Take the most common and say this is what you should say. This is how you should sell to people. Right. Yeah, because you take the best salesperson, right? And you say, well, and you tell the AI to say, hey, I want you to create me a sales, a sales plan or sales program, right? The AI gonna give you exactly what the average people will tell you what to do. Right. But the extremely genius salesperson would do something that the AI would never think of because average people don't think about it. So same thing with that's what I'm saying is a lot of things what you do today is pros and cons. It can never be, hey, this is gonna be good universally. It just depends on how you use it. Like I say, a sword or a gun, right? It could use to protect, or you could use to hurt yourself.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, it's
So
it's
you say about the Tesla, you say about the iPhone, yeah, you are giving up something for that.
no, they gave up something. Like they gave up
And even if
everything.
you use, it, Chris, like as a user, you also give it up something. But the
Yeah,
guy who did like the Elon and the Steve Jobs, they sacrifice a lot to get that out
I agree.
into the market.
They sacrificed everything. I mean, I feel like
Everything.
I mean, for what? Like for I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's probably a topic for another day when we get to to reflection for what are we on? For 17. When we get to reflection 417 someday, like we can argue about Elon Musk and or something, but I think
But this is the
for
thing
this
is,
particular one,
there are like examples for us to look and reflect and learn for ourselves without having to go through ourselves. Because this is one of our collective superpower is we can take the lessons from other people and say, well, is this what we want? Right? The information, the lessons, right? The reflections
right?
that we as a collective person can use it to say, well, is this what I want? Because you don't want to say, hey, I'm gonna strive to be Steve Jobs, and then when you get to the Steve Jobs level, and say, well, I don't really want this. Well, by that time it's too late. You have sacrificed so much for it, but you're not getting what you want. Because you think about it, what's the point of having $1 trillion if you can't tell anyone? What's the point of having a lot of money if you can't spend it?
I mean,
What's the point? But then you think about
money's
it,
worthless.
you look at like Steve Jobs, right? He has pancreatic cancers, right? He tried every single method, right? Whether traditional medicine, Eastern medicine, homeopathic, he tries every single thing, right? But because of his condition, right, he can't eat anything. He can't enjoy anything. He's basically you take medicine as your food because that's the only thing that keeps you alive.
Right? Yeah, his health span, that's a
You
word
look
I
at
learned
you look at
recently,
that Rockefeller, right?
is horrible.
Rockefeller, and he has like lavish parties, right, for everybody to enjoy all the food, all the best delicates. He can only eat bread and drink water, and even then he can't do it. He
Yeah,
has all that money to put up these lavish parties for
he had a
everybody
bad
around him.
he had a bad stomach as well.
But the thing is,
So
where do you
so
think
actually
that
they all
comes
did.
from?
It's because all the stress. Like actually the
Exactly, the stress is what kills you.
Sam the Banana Man, the guy that he also had he had horrible stomach issues that he ate nothing but bananas all day long because he thought it helped him with his digestion. But like I'm pretty sure that all these dudes were just incredibly stressed out. In all seriousness, like I think
I
they
mean, scientifically,
yeah.
right? They did study. Stress is the number one killer.
Oh,
Stress
I
is
mean,
what
for
creates
sure,
all the diseases you have.
for
The
sure.
stress causes like, and
Inflammation. I mean,
it's a spiral downward,
yeah, yeah.
right? And so anyone who worked so hard without the balance is going to have the worst misery because your body isn't going to let you do the things that they don't want you to do.
You're just fighting yourself all day long. I mean, that's it. Like you're like cool. You could fight yourself and
I
push a
mean, that's
boulder
what I'm
up the
saying
hill.
is, if you don't believe me, like I said,
It's a-
it's very, kind of like in a way direct, but trying to stop breathing, right?
right.
It doesn't feel good.
Well, I mean, you can listen
Try to
to
stop eating, right? It doesn't feel good. You want to eat, you want to drink. If you're thirsty, you want to drink. So your body needs to do what it needs to do. You can't tell them, hey, I'm like the people who are like the people who touted about, hey, I only sleep like 3 hours a day, or only 5 hours a day.
cool.
These people, like brilliant people,
Right.
they die from dementia, and they die from Alzheimer and all this, because the thing is, your body
It's
needs
killing their
sleep,
brain.
dude.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you
You're
gotta
killing your
sleep.
brain.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, you're a smart person in other areas, but you're very stupid in terms of what gives you the ultimate. Because a lot of people they neglect that, and they go and they tout these things to the young ones, and the young ones say, "Hey, I'm going to sleep only 3 hours. I'm going to get up
and
at
that's
3
the
o'clock."
problem. That's the real problem. Is you can listen to Elon Musk story or Steve Jobs story or Sam the
Everybody
Man
tells
story,
me,
and you're like,
all the young ones say, "Hey,
I want to do that.
Steve Jobs and all these guys, my
Right.
hero. I'm gonna get up at 4 o'clock. I'm gonna do my blah blah blah." I say, well, is that what you want? I mean, it's hard, but I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna bustle.
Yeah.
What for? What are you
Right.
getting?
Yeah.
Right?
Who
What are you
cares?
getting out of it? Right? So last thing, this is the reason why we're saying this is because there's so much deceptiveness in the world today, and we are trying to give ourselves a chance, a remedy for these, and that remedy is today, for me and you, is to walk the path of your authentic self.
Exactly.
Figure it out, because the thing is, right now,
the hour at this point in time,
right,
not
because
just
you and I
your or
become
you.
authentic
Right.
individually, that
Right.
authentically becomes collectively.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Right.
our individual, our collective path, of integrity at this point in time. That's what clubbing is, right? Like,
and that's why we keep saying this, is because in order for you to not be deceived, you have to find who you are first,
yes,
in order for you to align yourself in a culture that is aligning with who you are as a person,
yeah,
and have that collective culture. If not, then you can be deceived.
you will be deceived. Like, I mean,
You will be deceived.
at this point in time, there's too many manipulative people out there that understand the culture eats strategy for breakfast, in terms of getting human beings to do what you want them to do. Like, you can have all the best strategy in the world. There's nothing more powerful than a culture to drive people's actions, whether they like it or they don't. But if you don't know what you're doing and how this is being harnessed against you, then you're fucked. Like,
Yes.
I mean, you will be taken advantage of. You will, somebody else will, capitalize on your ignorance of the power of culture. So you should harness that for yourself, and walk your own true path, and then find your true people, and then go live a life that's filled with meaningful. Do it for good reasons, and live a life filled with meaningful work and meaningful relationships. And I'm pretty sure you'll have a pretty healthy life.
Yeah, my philosophy, my saying is, life is meant to be enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not that, then you got to keep looking.
Point? Right. I agree. I mean,
life is not meant to tend the universe.
I'm sorry, Steve. Life is not.
I'm sorry, Steve, but I don't agree with your saying.
you should listen to this Steve Jobs or to this Elon book. I mean, this guy's fucked. Like, honestly, this dude is a fucked dude. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not appreciative of the things that he's brought into this world, but man, this guy makes Steve Jobs look like I don't know, the Dalai Lama or something like that. I mean, he is fucked. Like, I mean, he has had a horrible life. I mean, there's nothing about Elon's life that I would ever trade a single minute for. Like, no joke. I mean, there's nothing that I've heard in this guy's life where I'm like, oh man, well, I wish I had that. Like, and it's like, no, almost the exact opposite. It's like, oh God, like, I do not want any of your life in any way, shape, or form. Like, I mean, he is.
But you think about the thing that Elon is given up for, because it's not like he invented PayPal, and that Peter Thiel invented PayPal. He has some kind of app called X, right? X and PayPal are the same concept, and yes, they merge together. But imagine there's no Elon. PayPal will eventually become just like we have today.
Yeah,
same thing with electric cars. Electric car isn't something that's new, and right. Tesla not even new. He just bought into Tesla, right? And so
not totally. The name, all they had was a shell company, and they had an idea, and he funded it, and then became a big part of it.
But the thing I'm saying is the car company, eventually somebody is going to build the electric car, because it's not like the technology isn't there. It's just like, hey, somebody's pushing it.
It's probably a matter of time.
But I'm saying, hey, to me, let's say today, I have to ride horse and carriage, right? You know, it's okay. I mean, the thing is, when you don't know there is a Tesla, you don't miss it.
Right.
That's just the way human beings works, right?
Yep.
If you don't know that you can fly, you don't miss flying,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
right? And even then, it's like, I mean, flying, like you say, flying. Well, there's pros and cons. If you fly fast, right, then the world runs faster, and it just, you know, you get more. You run for trains more.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
What's the thing
Well,
is,
you
everything we
can't run
do-
for trains if there aren't trains.
Exactly, you can't run for
Right.
train. They can't run for airplane, because you think
Right.
about airplane. You go on airplane, you know, yeah, you fly faster, but at
Right.
the same time, you know, you don't enjoy the moment. Well, you just go, "Whew," I zip over there. I don't. You enjoy the moment, because
Right.
today is like, hey, you know, there's no phone, right? So in the past, there's no phone. People want to call me or want to visit me. They walk 5 days and go visit me, right?
Right.
I enjoy the peace, but now it's like, fuck, like somebody called me like 5, 10 times, and it's all a bunch of, you know, scam people trying to call me, and then my family called me, and they expect me to pick up the phone. Say, don't call me if you have a problem, right? Call 911.
Right.
Don't call me. The phone is for my convenience. It's not for me to be, you know, to be on call for you to call me so I can pick up.
Right.
You,
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
like I say is, I could live without the phone. What you do? It's like, look, if you have a problem, you need an emergency, call 911.
Right.
Then you call me to let me know as a courtesy.
Agreed.
Call me.
Yeah, go
Then
ahead.
I'll call 911. You're wasting time.
I would agree. I think it's a good place to end it on for the night, only because of two things. This room still smells like sewage, and smells horrible in here right now. And then
I hope it doesn't get worse.
no, I think I don't know. I opened up the windows above me,
Okay.
so it seems like it's maybe getting a little bit better in here. But and then the second thing is the Purdue basketball game's on right now too, and I really want to go watch the end of it. So all right,
Sounds
thanks
good, man.
thanks for joining us, everyone. And the question we can leave you with is: do the cultures you belong to align with your nature? And if they don't, then
you know what to do.
right. All right, have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Good night.